Okay, so it's an international radio festival right here at Kaufleuten in Zurich, and really our biggest attraction, our main star, and really, I suppose, legendary guest is the one and only DJ Premier.
How you doing, brother? Good to have. Good to have you. Like if I'm the host, good to be here.
You are the host, really are. Tonight you're, here for the party. You're here to play a big party here. Have you been to Zurich before?
I've been to Zurich since I was 20 years old. I'm 48 now, so you gotta do the math on that. I don't have a calculator, but I know how to add and subtract.
Well, we're not going to do an age thing, but we're the same age, which makes me feel good.
There you go, 48, baby.
Massive fan from years and years ago. Your career spans, well, at least 28 years. How long have you been in the game?
Yeah, 27, going on 28 years, and still love what I do. Still love the culture of hip hop and just the culture of just music. Period. So I just represent realness. That's what it is.
Yeah, because I'm with Dan here, right? Dan Formless from Hoxton FM, and we were discussing, and I know Dan. Yesterday we did a show here as part of the International Radio Festival, having invited various. Right. I know you came down to do some stuff with Kiss Berlin, and what was it you were saying about how you felt about Premier's career? I know you had a really good question.
I just wanted to really ask, firstly, how do you keep your passion alive?
Right.
For you being in it for so long? So can you just tell us what inspires you?
Everything from listening to other people's music. I'm not really a person that likes to listen to my own stuff. I like to listen to other people's music, which inspires me to want to go make a track. You know, if I hear a good Nas record, if I hear a good Jay-Z record, if I hear a dope record from the Foo Fighters, or the Rolling Stones, whatever, it makes me want to create something new. So good music is always out there. It's changed a lot from the way I was brought up on it, where you would hear it massively on the radio and all over the place, where the sound that's out now is a lot more over commercialized or watered down, in my opinion, but it's still music, and I respect all music. My thing is, I'm glad that I was raised in the era of the 70s and the 80s, where there was no computers, there was no Serato, you had to go find the music, and now everything is just a push of a button, which is good if the music is great and the passion is great, but if it's not, it's a bad thing. So that's going to happen in any type of world we live in, be it a computer or pre that. But again, I'm from the analog world where everything was on tape. Where I'm not used to, just laying it down by computers. The tape, if you do a punch and mess up and you miss it, it's over. You gotta re-record it fresh. Where now you can just hit undo or Apple Z, or and you're done. So that's the one difference that I still follow is the way that I was raised on making music. Same thing when I do beats. I don't have a stack of beats to say, hey, listen to this one and pick one when I work with an artist. I still organically walk in and say, we're going to make something right there on the spot. And what you hear is everything you ever heard me do in my career was made on the spot.
So everything's fresh.
Yeah.
But can you give us an insight into how much time and effort goes into digging and finding all the samples and I think a lot of people maybe look at DJing and think it's easy and then they come into it, and I think it's the same with production. And obviously you're from the old school. Can you give people an insight into that?
Yeah, even with the digging part, now you can go on computer and pretty much find everything I sampled. Just, again, you can just search the title of my song. Certain people have found out what it is. We don't like when they expose it because a lot back in that era, we weren't really clearing stuff because we didn't understand the science of clearing it. And with all due respect to the artists that we sample, now I do respect it in a different way. But at the same time, we were being creative with disguising the original sample to where you wanted to go. Yeah. Where is he getting that from? Where is that? And it makes you do the research to find that record. If it means that much to you, you find it. And obviously, in this day and age, a lot of people have searched long and hard to find some of the samples. Some people will say, "Oh, I finally found out what you used."
20 years later.
20 years later. Exactly. So, again, the digging part is still a major part because it goes back to me and my mom going record shopping together. She's like, hey, you want to go record shopping tomorrow? It's like, yeah. And then it was just as big as going to a football game. Like, I'm from a sports town, so everybody's into football, basketball, baseball, track, everything. And that going to you already have your outfit laid out for the game that you're going to, and my parents and everybody was into sports. and my sisters and everybody, and at that same time, going to the record store before that was a big deal, you know. So when it came, and this is before rap. So once I started to see the signs of making beats through records that we sample, it even went further with not ever giving up that part of it, because I still love it. I'm still passionate about it because it's still fun to me to make a beat. It's still fun to me to go digging. It's still fun for me to compete against all the other producers out there that think they got better records than mine.
And I think the fact that you just told us, that's a beautiful, real story about. It was like going to a game. Your mum took you. So what I'm thinking is that with respect to going to record stores to buy records, was radio playing a really important part for you to hear those records in the first place, or were you going to see the bands live? I mean, radio is the big thing for me right now with respect to going way back to when you were young, because that's when I heard a lot of music. It wasn't about TV. You couldn't get nothing online. It wasn't even invent a computer yet. So how important has radio been in part of the creative and part of the digging process?
Well, you got to remember, during radio when I was coming up, you'd hear Curtis Mayfield, Freddie's Dead, or Right On for the Darkness. Then you hear Al Green, Call Me, or La La Means I Love You, and then you'd hear the Delphonics, or the Shy Lights, and then you hear James Brown. That was on the radio, you know what I'm saying? Barry White, that was normal to hear that funky stuff here in Parliament. And this before Prince. This is way before Prince and all that stuff. He wasn't even out yet back in my childhood. You know, Jackson 5, Ike and Tina Turner, Minnie Riperton, Aretha Franklin, Natalie Cole. All that was on the radio. Average White Band, you know, like that's what we're hearing. Ohio Players and all that, Bootsy's Rubber Band. That was regular daytime radio.
Yeah.
So to hear that's why when you don't hear it now, you don't hear Earth, Wind and Fire and all those records. You're like, well, what the hell happened?
But I feel that, actually, we've been saying that as well, is that a lot of this generation, say in the last maybe just a few years really, I've noticed, and predominantly through hip hop music, because of the amount of not just breaks, but the amount of inspiration and ideas and sounds and original, music from a generation. I feel like people are rediscovering these artists that you've just named one after another. I mean, I've heard some young kids playing tunes, and I'm looking at them thinking, you shouldn't know this record.
Right.
But do you think maybe because of the hip hop, maybe because they've heard this bit and then they've located where it's come from and it's taken it? Some
do, some don't. I mean, for the ones that do and appreciate it, I mean, that's a good thing, because that's really what it's supposed to do. Ninth Wonder has a caption on all of his emails that he got from Curtis Mayfield: "We must educate as well as entertain." So that's really what it is. It's like we're educating people. Like, I remember one day I was at Alchemist's house and he was like, "Yo, man, I didn't know such and such artist did this, and he did this and this." And Alchemist is a dope producer and beat maker.
Yeah.
But these were artists that I grew up with as a child, especially in a black household. You're used to the artists I named: Diana Ross and the Supremes, anything Motown, from Stevie Wonder to to Marvin Gaye, to the Last Night in the Pips. All that is standard stuff in our house when we're children, So.
I was going to say, so I should know this, but just for all of us who are listening, where is this house? Where did you grow up?
In Prairie View, Texas. It's a small town. Let's put it this way: we have rodeos that we go to. Seriously, we go to. And I go to rodeos and all that stuff. We have the Houston Livestock Show and rodeo every year, and that's a normal thing. I was born in I was born in Fifth Ward in Houston.
That's like Midwest America.
Yeah, where the ghetto boys are from. That's where I was born. Then from there we moved to Prairie View. And I went to college there. I went to a different town to go to high school and junior high, but still all 5 miles apart.
Wow.
And from there, that's. And then I have two older sisters. I have a sister that's 4 years older, and I have one that's 2 years older. So I got to also hear the music they listened to a couple of generations ahead of my mom.
Wow.
Ahead of me.
Yeah.
And then my mother is an art teacher, so she taught art in junior high and high school. Everybody knows my mom in my town. Everybody knows my father in my town. And my mother was always forcing us to learn how to draw. So I do graffiti. I do all of that. I used to not want to draw, but now trickled into hip hop and graffiti and all that, which is my
They
culture,
just go
my
together.
difference.
That all of these things.
So
Street
my
art.
mother has a heavy vinyl collection. Heavy.
Have you borrowed records from her?
Oh yeah, I stole a lot of them. You know what I'm saying?
I have a picture, I'm sure,
Premier's mom has got a heavy record collection, no
So
doubt.
you're finding your mum's record collection?
No, I bought a Technics turntable years ago, like 15 years ago, and she still has it.
Wow.
Is it pristine?
Of course, anything's pristine that comes out of our camp.
So where it could have been, if you like, a musical, instrumentalist or singing family, it sounds like you come from a record buying, record collecting, record playing family.
Yeah, I mean, because again, that's what was in my household. So, and I'm from the record player era. But this is before scratching and everything. My mom had the automatic machine where you put the spindle, stack the albums, and the needle hops up, bumps it, the record drops, and it goes to the song. And as a child, you're like, what in the world is that? It looks like a toy.
Yeah, but I've seen DJs since then make that into a technique of dropping the needle, pulling it back and dropping it.
No question.
No, you've got something to say. Radio, really important. Obviously, we've gone to your past a bit, but I'm just thinking about how now radio and like even the International Radio Festival right here, they bring together. How do you feel about what's going on with they're bringing together all these radio stations? And what are you doing with radio yourself?
I have a radio show that I do every Friday night from 10 p.m. to midnight East Coast time. It's called Live from Headquarters. It's on Sirius XM Satellite Radio, Channel 44, which is Hip Hop Nation. It's live every Friday. It's live tonight as well. But the only difference is I get DJs that can keep it underground and keep it straight to breaking new music that I think people need to hear. So DJ Finesse is actually filling in for me tonight, and it will be live. So I don't want to pre-tape it when I'm out of town. I want people to still know, even if I'm away, you're going to enjoy it just as much because I have a dope crew. I have Panchi from the NYGs, who's also part of Gangstar Foundation. He's my co-host. We have Ron Mills, who's actually, we call Millie D on the show. That's his nickname on our show. He's the producer of the show, and he also is one of my bosses at Sirius XM, but he loves it, and he's off on that day. But he's like, yo, even on my day off, I want to be here. That's how much fun we have breaking music. We'll have people like Diamond D, but then we'll have Prodigy and then KRS-One, and but then we'll have Blackistan, people like that don't get enough radio shine. Then we'll have Fat Joe, and then Busta Rhymes. So it can go from the bigger ones, but then you'll have the underground artists who also get a chance to be heard. So every Friday, Sirius XM Satellite Radio, Channel 44, Hip Hop Nation is the station. Live from Headquarters, shout to Keebler, who's my tour manager, who's supposed to be here right now, but
too busy back home.
No, I missed my flight to come here. It's my fault.
Okay.
I was in the studio finishing a lot of work, and I left in enough time. But the tunnel that takes me to my house in Queens, they had an accident in there, and they had it cut off on all entrances, so all the cars had to reroute.
You're here. You made it here. Now listen, we'd love to take more time. I know, and I can feel you are truly passionate about what you do.
I'm gonna find that picture of that turntable.
We'll have a look at that. You're thinking about the future because you're helping the new school come up.
No doubt.
You're setting. You like, as we do, we like to share inspiration and allow people to express what they like to do on whatever medium creatively.
Yeah. And I gotta say, shout to Reggie Hawkins and Geronimo and Ron Mills for giving me the show. And I said, what do you want me to do? They said, do whatever you want. And I was like, yeah. He said, we ain't gonna tell you what to do. You do whatever you want, and that's exactly what they do. They don't never tell me how to do my show, and I love that they give me freedom to just do it my way.
Is that your message to the next generation?
Well, I mean, you have some people that are handcuffed, and they gotta do what they if they want to get that check, they gotta follow that list.
Yeah,
there's a playlist, and I know the format, but I'm not formatted. We just break hot stuff.
Okay, wicked.
So one of the other things that I've experienced in music a lot is that the cream doesn't really rise to the top a lot of the time, and you've had incredible success in your career. Could you tell us any? It's hard, I know, but could you tell us any one artist that maybe didn't get as much acclaim as they should have that you want to kind of draw attention to?
Oh, there's plenty of artists that don't get the acclaim like they should. I mean, it's a bunch. I mean, which is why my show is the outlet to come to if it comes to hip hop in the underground, because you have a chance, and especially if I'm co-signing, and I co-sign it myself. I don't have people around me going, "Hey man, you got to play that. It's hot." They can do that, but if I don't think it's hot, I'm not playing it. We could be the best of friends. You be my mama.
If I don't like the record,
records, but
oh yeah.
Listen, Premier, we'd love to keep you longer, but I know you've got
I've got one more question.
We really have to say
one more
cover.
Yeah, he wants to get rid of it.
If we know you're tired and we know you've got a gig tonight. If you could, it's kind of a double question. If you could go back to yourself, like when you started, what piece of advice would you give yourself? I'm asking this because I want you to give advice to the next generation without sounding like you're telling them what to do.
Right. I mean, I would follow what I really do, and I would tell people to follow what got me here to this point in my career, which is to be original, study all the people that, like the Guru used to always say this, God bless his soul, compare yourself to everybody that you think you're on the level or should be on the level of. Compare yourself to them and fit in somewhere in that little gap to be right amongst those people. That's what we did, and everybody that we wanted to like us ended up seeing us. Rakim was seeing and go, "Yo, Gangstar." We're like, "Oh my God, Rakim knows who we are." KRS-One, "Yo, DJ Premier, Guru." And this is not us saying, "Hey, can we meet you?" They're catching us walking in the street on a regular day and saying, EPMD, like, "Yo, we want to take you on tour with us." We're like, wow. So that let us know we made it. So, but that's what we did. We compared ourselves to being on their level. EPMD, KRS-One, Big Daddy Kane, Grandmaster Flash, Furious 5, LL Cool J, Run DMC. We really, really do work that hard and make that type of music that's amongst what they did to make us want to be like them.
Okay.
So what was the biggest, who was it who noticed you, that was the biggest shock to you that they recognized you?
Definitely KRS-One. We were in a record store one day and he walks in and he doesn't see us yet, and all the newest 12 inches on the wall, and he goes, "Let's see what I want. Let's see." Salt and Pepper got that. Got that.
You do a good KRS.
I've been around him for the Return of Boom Bap, man, and he's like, "Gangstar, oh, I gotta buy that." And we're like, and then also we turn around, we go, "Yo, what's up, KRS?" He goes, "Oh, Gangstar, what's up?" You know what I'm saying? And he said, "Yo, you give us any advice?" He goes, "Never come off whack," and walks away.
Wow.
I was like, I could faint, I could pass out now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear that.
So no, it's really cool. It's been a total privilege to speak to you.
No doubt.
Very
No,
much.
he's done now. He's done.
No, I'm not done. I could go on
pushed
and
me
on.
away
but
already.
Just the first hip-hop record I ever bought in New York, 1985, was Words I Manifest on Wild Pitch Records. So just so you know, I'm that old school,
First
okay?
hip-hop record I bought was Hard to Handle. Listen to it till it
my
broke.
favorite, one of my favorite albums of all time.
Amazing.
Thank you.
International Radio Festival, DJ Premier, Dan Formless, Mr. Normski, signing off.
Peace.